Not sure.
So I've made videos before on things that you can't do in Japan because of Japanese law, or unknown laws here in Japan that could get you arrested. But this time I wanted to switch things up and show you guys some laws here in Japan that are actually legal but are illegal in the rest of the world. Many think that Japan is a very strict country, and rightfully so, but when you hear some of these Japanese laws, you may be scratching your head. And to be clear from the start, I don't recommend doing any of these things. I'm not providing legal advice, and this is for entertainment only. But like always, before I start, if you want to see what I'm doing on the daily, check out my Instagram account. But the legal age of consent is 13 years old in Japan, and one of the lowest in the world. Age of consent referring to the minimum age at which a person is considered to be capable of giving consent to sexual acts. In fact, this has been part of the Japan Penal Code since 1907, more than 100 years without change. Interestingly, most prefectures in Japan have statutes and local ordinances that raise the effective age to between 16 and 18 years old, while at the same time leaving some gray area for specific cases. At the end of the day though, the national age of consent in Japan is 13 years old. Number 2, marrying cousins. On somewhat of a lighter note, it's legal in Japan to marry your first cousin. Like many of these laws in the video, it may be legal in some countries, or if you're from the US, in your state. But the truth is, in other parts of the world, marrying your first cousin is still against the law, so I thought this one was worth mentioning. This law dates all the way back to Japan's Meiji period, when it was passed in 1898. It's common enough in Japan that there's a word for it, itoko-kon. In fact, there have been many famous and well-known people in Japan who have married their first cousin. For example, Japan's 56th Prime Minister, who's the grandfather of Japan's more recent Prime Minister, Abe, was married to his first cousin. There were even 2 Prime Ministers after him who were also married to their first cousin. One of the reasons for this law was to allow families to keep their wealth within their family. Fortunately, for those living in Japan today who also want to legally spend the rest of their life with their first cousin, Japan is all for it. Number 3, defamation. So this is an interesting one. In Japan, you can sue someone for defamation if they damage your honor, aka public image, even if the statements are true. This one kind of blew my mind since I'm from the US, and we understand defamation to be the oral or written communication of a false statement about another that unjustly harms their reputation and usually constitutes a tort or crime. But in Japan, hurting someone's honor or even hurting a company's honor is protected by law, despite the statements being true. I should note though that many laws in Japan leave a lot of gray area, but the main 3 criteria for defamation in Japan is: 1. The statement is shared with the general public. 2. It reveals specific facts whether true or not. And 3. Damages one's honor, either socially, their value, or how they value themselves. So for example, telling your co-workers or the public that your married boss is having an affair with someone, even though it's completely true, is considered defamation in Japan. Even online statements, if the 3 previously mentioned criteria are met, can be considered defamation. There are exceptions though, such that you're stating facts about public interest, or you're a whistleblower to expose company fraud. But at the end of the day, the Japanese law is to protect individuals and companies from malicious actors that intend to do their honor or image harm. Here are 2 examples that actually happened in Japan. Case 1, in 2018, a person was having an affair and it was posted on social media by a third party. Although the affair was happening, the person sued the third party for defamation. The Tokyo District Court judged for the plaintiff and was awarded 100,000 yen, about $820 today. And case 2, a quasi-rape incident occurred in an event circle. Quasi-rape by Japanese definition is a crime of committing sexual intercourse, anal intercourse, oral sex with another who's passed out under the influence of such as alcohol and lost consciousness to resist or was not able to resist. A magazine published an anonymous report about the incident without giving the subject's real name. In this case, although the incident happened and the subject was anonymous in the report, the court still awarded for the subject, as it was judged that the subject could be identified by judging the totality of the circumstances, and received a total of 4.4 million yen for defamation damages, about 36,000 US dollars. Maybe not necessarily legal around the world, but I thought this one was worth mentioning. So yeah, if you're in Japan and someone's talking that chiz, you may be able to do something about it. Before I continue on, I want to give a quick shout out to my regular sponsor, Boksu. If y'all don't already know, Boksu provide a gourmet experience of Japanese snacks and tea pairings delivered to you.
That is kind of fucked up.